Hi, it's Joers, Program Executive Officer for Defense Healthcare Management Systems. I wanted to reach out to you all because I've gotten a lot of questions when I've gone to conferences and speaking engagements about where are we with PEO 3.0. And I think you probably have seen recently some correspondence from J.R. Oliver and others coming out to really look at some draft documentation that we have. And I think back to, we had a vision a few years ago about really restructuring and transforming our organization. And it was really centered around a couple principles as we wanted to become a world-class technology organization. As you know, transformations are hard. And there's the tyranny of now, and it's trying to get through the mission support that we need to do now. So we started out with our Workforce 3.0. We did some initial work on workplace and really continue to refine and morph and evolve and learn from that. There has been a lot of research done with industry, and thanks for all the feedback we've gotten on DevMac, really looking at how do we structure it in a way that we can get our DevSecOps and really our development needs for those areas where we think we need sort of that software development activity today for what we're doing in-house versus by commercial. And trying to line that scope up for something that allows us to grow in the future, because we're always going to have requirements coming in and going to be looking at what is that make or buy decision we have, how much are we going to do in-house, what is commercial, what kind of integration needs do we have, and how do we think about the right structure in place. And I would say the immediate demand signals we have are really in the data space, primarily with our EADS program office, and a lot of work that is being done with our MHS information platform. And so wanted you guys to be on the lookout as you really see that start to shape to define sort of that near-term task order type activity in the EADS space. And looking sort of from a more I guess maybe a traditional approach as we're looking at creating that DevMac. When it comes to FX as a service, I remember early on, like, what do you mean by that? Well, I'm going to show this to see. FX as a service, meaning function. Think about it from a math perspective, right? Function as a service. So this X is a variable. We knew that we were going to have both internal facing requirements from a PEO shared service perspective. So those things that as a PEO, I need to make sure that my product lines have in order to support their products effectively. And then there is the, I'll say, external facing, thinking of a customer perspective, which are things that we need matrix for the product lines that can support, all the activities that go along with fielding and supporting a product, right? That bring to market capability, and how do we look at adoption and change management and thinking about it from bringing a service line to market. So we're starting with a couple small things, right? And so the first thing you're going to see out is related to theater blood. While this is a pretty small dollar value activity, I thought it was important to kind of give context to how does this fit in the overall picture. I suspect there may be some confusion over the CSO and what does that look like. So, we're putting this commercial service opening out. We've got it out there, and the idea is to allow us, access to a lot of commercial solutions and seeing what it is that is in the art of the possible. And ultimately, we can award contracts leveraging the CSO, right? They could be, I'll say, traditional, C-type contracts, or we could end up doing an ordering vehicle in the future. So ultimately, we want to get to the point where we have a vehicle that supports the portfolio. So if I think of Jomis, I know I have many product lines, suites of applications, right? And I don't necessarily want to have to do something different every time for every different application, right? From a workload perspective, and frankly, from a continuity and purpose perspective, right? We want to be able to look at our customer base and say, this is how we're supporting you, right? There may be different products or different applications, but we want to drive excellence in that capability to really drive change, adoption, training, fill in the sort of customer support function, right, that needs to be in there in the as a service. So what we're looking for is providers that can drive us to that capability, and we're going to learn. So I could have sat back and said, hey, we're going to do, an ordering vehicle, we're going to do something, and we're going to sit back and we're going to sit in a room for 6-7 months, and we're going to churn on this, and we're going to crank it out, and we're going to give it to you guys and see what you think and hope we get the best, right? Well, we know that we need to learn on how it is that we're putting out our requirements documents for you guys to bid on. How we've structured contracts, what deliverables we're asking for, what kind of metrics, from whether it be a QASP or an SLA type activity, what are those things we're asking for, and we need to learn from that. And we want to learn on something that is real, supports our mission, but will help us evolve. So again, the effort that we're coming out right now with is related to theater blood. And it is, as I said, a fairly small dollar value effort, but really it's important and critical to our mission. And we want to make sure that we can support the users of this capability. And so we're going to learn, did we ask the right things, right? And hopefully we have enough information out there for you guys to actually provide something back to us that we can down select to pick the right support for this activity. And then we're going to evolve, and we're going to understand, we've got, like I said, a near-term need. We're going to see how that goes. We're going to measure ourselves, and then we're going to look at what's the next thing we need to do, and how does that evolve to a larger long-term contract effort. So that's really what we're trying to get after, is ultimately building to a portfolio level support vehicle. But we need to start somewhere. We have real mission needs, and we want your feedback, and we want to learn as we go, kind of in this agile mindset. It does us no good to sit in a room and think we've got all the right answers, and then come to find out we've spent a year and a half trying to get to something that maybe doesn't do what we need it to do. So that's where we are, and I wanted to share that. We will be having other areas. When I talked about sort of what I'll call the internal sort of PEO facing, could be considered developer facing, things that we need to look at from platforms, from our test infrastructure. What are those things that we need to do to actually support our developers and our product lines from a sort of internal perspective. So there'll be more to follow on that. Want to just take this moment to share those thoughts with you all. Again, keep on the lookout for the activities or the RFP that is out there related to this theater blood capability, but also for those of you who may not be interested in putting in for that particular activity. We are looking to build to this to grow to larger efforts. So please keep following what we're doing, and look forward to engaging with you all in the future.